We were both born in Bridgeport. He was a twin. We were both born in Bridgeport. My family moved to Milford. We didn't move back to Bridgeport again until after my brother had been hit by a car and was in St. Vincent's for a very long time. That brought us back to Bridgeport. You could say I was brought up sheltered. I mean, I was in Laurelton, and I was brought up sheltered. Then when we moved to Bridgeport, my family got involved a great deal with St. Charles, and that was like a real all-Irish parish at that time. And they were very much involved with the church. Mama was, and so was Dad. And so as a result of that, we kind of yearned to go back to Milford. We did. We loved Milford. And, living in the city was not what we were used to. But Mom always was a decorator. Our house always really looked lovely. And so this one night, a group of girls from CYO wanted to take me to the movies. They wanted to know if I could go to the movies. We were just all getting acquainted. And so I asked my parents, and they said, that was fine, So on the way, they told me they wanted to introduce me to this boy. That did not interest me at all. I had a lot of other things on my mind than boys. I'd never thought, really, that I would ever meet a boy that could compare with my brother and my father. To me, they were rough, tough, and these city boys, I just didn't like that. I didn't like that. I want to go back to Milford. So anyway, we got to the movies, and just before we went in, they said, he's a lifeguard during the day. I says, who? This boy we want to introduce you to. And he is a usher at night at the theater. And I said, what? So I meet Ed. I look at Ed, from the shoes he's wearing that were very polished, to the Argyle socks he had on, to the crease in his pants, to that nice shirt and tie he was wearing. And I thought, what a well-groomed young man you are. That's how I evaluated him. Never been on a date. And so anyway, this is going to be foreign to you, but there was an air raid. There was defense factories all over Bridgeport, and the enemy came pretty close at, I guess, one time. And so we had air raids, and we had an air raid. So we had to wait till all clear, and then we left. And with that, he's walking out with us. But he knew these girls, he knew them. And we were all the same age. And he said, I just got paid. I'll buy all you girls a Coke. I don't drink Coke. I ordered an ice cream soda, and my husband told me all my life, he knew I was a gold digger from the first day when I ordered an ice cream soda, and all the other girls ordered a nickel Coke. So he walked along home with us, but his house was first. And as he ran across the street to go up the steps into his home, I didn't see that young, athletic, 142-pound kid. I seen my husband as he looked just before he collapsed. And I wrote, I'll spend the rest of my life with you. I began seeing auras in Laurelton Hall in grade school. I suppressed these things. I didn't know what they meant. I could see it upset my family. It definitely upset the nuns. And I had to pay kind of a price for that, you know. I didn't know what that meant. I thought everybody could see these lights, but nothing like what happened when I met him. I never told Ed for a long time what I wrote in that diary. And then I showed him. He called it entrapment. So, kidding. And so, anyway, from then on, Ed entered the military. He tried to get in when he was 16. He forged. And his father found out. His dad had been a state trooper and found out, was very angry. His brother was in the islands in the Pacific.
Philippines?
Huh?
Philippines?
No, well, he's further out than that, New Guinea. His brother was in New Guinea. He had just lost his best friend. Just a while before that, at Pearl Harbor. And he must have thought an awful lot of that man, that young boy, because they had been friends for a long time, and he lost him. He must have been a couple of years older than Ed, too. And so I came home from school one day, and Ed and this man, Bob Thompson, another friend of his, who was going into the military with him. This was never talked about. And they were sitting at the kitchen table with my mother. And I thought, that's strange. And now, I never really went on dates with Ed. He would go with us, and my parents and brother and sister, and we'd go on picnics and different things like that we would do. Then one time he asked my mother and dad if he could take me to the movies. And my father said, you can, but you can't drive her, so you're going to have to walk to the movies. And we did. And then on the way back from the movies, that was in downtown Bridgeport, the Los Polis, and then he was telling me how he used to work there. And when we got by Dr. Murray's house, he said, can I kiss you goodnight here, because I know I can't do it when I can bring you home. And that was the first time he kissed me. And now when I came home this day, see, he never told me he grew up in a haunted house. He never told me he was enlisting in the military. He never told me anything like that. He never told me that his father was the one who stopped everything because he had forged to get in. He never told me any of that stuff. None of that kind of stuff did he ever tell me. And so as the result of that, I said, why are you here? He said, this is Bob Thompson. I says, hi, Bob. He says, we're going in the Navy. I says, you're going in the Navy? I says, wow. I says, you mean on ships? He says, yeah, I guess I'm going to be on a ship. So as a result of this whole thing, he stayed there, and I found out, you know, that they were going to finally let him enter on his 17th birthday. Ed made 4 crossings across the North Atlantic before he ever turned 18 years old, under fire, active duty. He was a gunner. I can only imagine, he didn't talk too much about stuff, you know, but I can only imagine what it had to be. But then my appendix ruptured while he was in service. And I didn't have much chance of survival. They didn't want to operate on me. And my parents, I know, oh God, what beautiful people. They are the most beautiful people in the world, honest. They were horribly upset when my appendix had ruptured. And my aunt, Daddy's sister, Julia Moran, was a head nurse. And she told them to go along with the surgery. So I was operated on. I had drains in me for a very long time. And I was home. My mom decided, something she had never done, she decided to take a job where she was doing something for defense. And Daddy worked for Connecticut Light and Power. My brother and sister were in school, and I was sitting at the dining room table writing a letter to Ed. And with this, his dad phoned, and he was able to tell his dad the name of the ship that he was on. And the father called to tell me. So I'm writing a letter. There was a program in the 40s called Make Believe Ballroom. And I was listening to it, and they broke in to say that 2 ships had collided, and there were very few survivors. Ed's ship was one of them.
Oh my gosh.
And I was scared. I was crying, and the elderly woman next door came over. She just happened to come over, and she was there with me. His father stopped. His father came over to our house, and my mother came home and all. And as a result of this, they never listened. They kept telling the survivors. His name never came up as a survivor. And so finally, we made, his dad and I, we made phone calls. They were bringing the bodies, and they were bringing the victims. Burns were burning to death, or it was February 5th in the North Atlantic, so you can imagine what that was like. And it was really one of the coldest days. So in New York it was. We found him at the Marine Hospital on Staten Island. And that's where he had been brought. And his father says, I'm going down in the morning. I said, so am I. And my parents said, I don't know how you can possibly go down. I was taped from here to here. They took me down to the doctor, the surgeon that operated on me. And he strapped me all up. Anyway, then we took, I forget what kind of, like a ferry, I think, over to Staten Island. I think it was like a ferry that we took. And Ed became a hero. He saved the life of a young Mexican kid. And that guy didn't swim. Ed never knew how he ever got in the Navy. And Ed told him to get on his back, to get on Ed's back. Ed was a phenomenal swimmer. That Beardsley Park, go right underwater, back and forth. There, that's where he was the lifeguard in Beardsley Park. He was an excellent swimmer. Of course, an excellent swimmer.
In the ice-cold North Atlantic.
Yes, and it was the ice that was killing some of them. And it was also the flames.